Now, the final component in the currency dashboard is the currency heat map, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to show this to you as well, alongside the matrix and the array. Now, if you're familiar with the currency heat map on other platforms, then you'll notice immediately that this looks very different, and there's a reason for that. And again, I've actually got, unlike the other platforms, I've actually got 3 timeframes here, although not 3 timeframes, but actually 3 separate versions of the heat map running in parallel. And you might wonder why. Well, the short answer is, with this indicator on TradingView, you can do something which you cannot do at the moment on the other platforms, and which I know a lot of you have been asking for over the years. And ironically, this is just the way it happened on TradingView. It was a happy circumstance that we came across this particular option. And the reason we've got 3 heat maps up here is for one simple reason, that you can actually set the time frames yourself according to whatever your approach to the market. It's very exciting. Something we've never been able to offer before, but it is now available on this particular variant on the TradingView platform. And if you look up here at the top here, this on the left is our fastest. We've got 1 minute, we've got 3, 5, 10, and 15 minute there. I've chosen those. If we move to our center chart here, we've got the 5, the 15, 30, 45, and the 1 hour. And over on the right-hand side, we've got the 1 hour, the 4 hour, the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. So you can literally set these to whatever is available on a TradingView in terms of the time frames. You can start with the seconds, you can go through the minutes, whatever it is, you can have it on the heat map and set it up according to the parameters that you trade, your tactical approach to the market. So it's extremely versatile, very powerful, and it's a great feature that we're just delighted being able to bring this to you on the platform for TradingView. Just move that over a bit. Sorry, they do move around a little bit. There we go. The concept of the heat map remains the same, in that what you're seeing on the cells here, these numbers here, are derived from in the same way that the matrix delivers them. So you have a complete visual perspective on what is going on in terms of the Aussie dollar across this particular time window. In other words, are we seeing bullish sentiment? Are we seeing bearish sentiment towards that particular currency pair in a similar way as we saw on the matrix and the similar way we saw on the array? So you're seeing it here as well, but you're seeing it without having to have all those charts open. You actually get a pure visual representation of all these various charts without having to have them physically open. It just gives you a perspective on sentiment. And once you start to see sentiment shift as well, either increase or decrease, obviously the cells will change color. Down at the bottom here, you would expect to see them more red, which they are. But ultimately, if this dollar Swiss, for example, is going to start creeping up the ranking ladder here, then the cells here will start to change. They'll always change in the fastest, so it will change on the 1 minute first, then it will go to the 3, out to the 5, 10, 15, and so on and so forth. Same principle over here. This is much slower, so we've got the 5, 15, 30, 45, and the hour on that particular chart, or that particular window, if you like. And then we've got out to a very slow time frame over here on the, we've got the hourly, the 4 hour, the daily, and the week and the month. So you have an absolute array of, whatever it is, you can suit this now, you can tailor it to your approach to the market. So it's very exciting. Now, in terms of the ranking ladder down the left-hand side here, this is also exactly the same as you would find on the other platforms. In other words, the time frame here, which will carry the most weight, is the 15 minute, and the time frame that will carry the least weight is the 1 minute, because these currency pairs here are ranked according to the weighting of the time frame. Because if you think about it logically, and it comes back to this whole business of time, which chart carries the most significance across your time window? And it is always the slowest, because it has the weight of time with it. So a change on a 1 minute, or a support area on a 1 minute, or resistance, or price action reaching a VPOC, a volume point of control area on a 1 minute, is going to carry much less significance than if that's happening on a 15-minute time frame, or if that's happening on an hourly time frame. An hourly time frame will carry much more weight than a 15-minute, a 4-hour more than an hour, a day more than 4 hour, etc. And it's just that is a concept of trading, that time carries weight. And therefore, when you're looking at the ranking ladder up and down here on the heat map, you have to remember that these currency pairs are there by virtue of the weighting that we apply across these cells, which then holds it in this position. So again, these are not going to move at the same speed as you would see on the matrix. If you go over here to the other end of the extreme, for example, where you've got weightings of the weekly and the monthly over here, the monthly is going to carry a huge impact on why the CAD yen is at the top. We've already explored that earlier on. It's to do with oil. We've seen a lot of CAD strength recently over the last few weeks, largely driven by the rise in oil, which has got up to $64-65 a barrel today. That's the reason it's at the top. So the weighting here is important. So these currency pairs here, they're not going to jump up and down here like the matrix, and change every few minutes. So you can set this up to look at slower time frames if you're busy, if you're at work. You can look at these opportunities. Again, it's all about extremes. It's how they move up and down the ranking ladder. And you can either take it in that way, or you use the chart to give you that view intraday on what is going on in terms of sentiment across the pairs that you're interested in or trading. And in terms of actually visualizing that, again, exactly the same as we did on the other on the array and the matrix, you can isolate out. So let's isolate out on the Aussie, because that looks pretty strong. So that's the inputs. That's where you change your inputs down here, time frame 1 to 5. So you change your inputs there. And that's what we've got set to at the moment, the 1, 3, 5, 10, and 15, but you can change them to anything. And if we put a filter on here, we'll just filter out on the Aussie there, and just click OK. And that will just filter out for us the Aussie pairs on that particular chart. Let's just do that again. Doesn't seem to have taken. Let's just try that again. Let's just click OK. Just wait for a moment. There we go. And now we can see we have a visual representation of what is going on in terms of Aussie strength or Aussie weakness. In this case, clearly it's Aussie strength. We've got lots of Aussie buying. And what's also interesting is that Aussie strength is, first of all, it's universal. We can see it here. Obviously, we've got the pound Aussie and euro Aussie at the bottom, very heavily negative out through the slower time frames. And the same up here at the top. The Aussie Swiss needs to jump up to this, and then we'd have a full house, but pretty much universal. Now, what we're seeing very slightly at the moment, marginal changes. We've got a little bit of bearish sentiment coming in on our fastest time frame, which is 1 minute. Nothing on the others at the moment. Tiny little change here on the Aussie CAD. So we've just crept out of bullish and maybe just sort of hinting at a possible bearish move. Now, if that's going to develop further, clearly what you're expecting to see then is you want to see these numbers drop away. That sentiment starts to ripple out across this particular time frame. And ultimately, if it does indeed change, then these are going to start moving down the ranking ladder. But they're not going to move at the same speed as the currency matrix because of this weighting aspect. So we've weighted everything according to the slowest time frame that you've chosen. And in this case, it's 15 minute. In this case, it's 45 minute. And in this case, it's the weekly. So it's very, very exciting. We're absolutely thrilled that we've got this available now, and it gives you enormous flexibility to choose your particular time horizons, your time frames, according to the tactical approach that you take to market. So if you're an out-and-out scalping trader, and you can have more than one, you don't have to, not restricted to one. If you wanted to have one that maybe write down the seconds and minutes, and then perhaps a slightly slower one. Fine, you can do that. As you can see here, I've got multiples, and you will be able to do the same as well. Very exciting. It's I can't tell you how excited we are about this. We're absolutely thrilled when we found out we could do this. And again, fantastic work by our wonderful developers who've managed to produce this and create the heat map in a very unique way. It is a unique way on TradingView, and if we can do this on the other platforms, then we will, obviously. But for the time being, it is certainly available here. We always like to try and keep things consistent across the platform. So if we can do it elsewhere, then we will certainly look at it as well. So thanks very much indeed for watching this particular video. That brings us up to date in terms of the suite of indicators in the currency dashboard. That's the array, the matrix, and the heat map you see here. I'll be doing some more videos on all of this soon as we move forward, and I hope you enjoyed this one, and see you again soon, and bye for now.